in business, it's always been like, how can you stand out? That is what separates your business, right? So this concept of like, you need to differentiate. This isn't new.
You got to go back to expertise, experience, authority, trustworthiness.
Mm-hmm.
You have to amplify those signals because we're not in the SERP world anymore.
The uniqueness of your brand actually really does matter.
If you look and sound like everyone else, then when ChatGPT or whoever is crawling, doesn't matter how technically sound you are, they're just going to pull, the most recent of the people who are like have the established credibility.
In B2B, B2C, you're still talking to a person, right? And there's nuance.
You're interacting with the brand at least.
Yeah.
Like it's around those value conversations of like, what are our values? What is our ethos? What's our company theology around who we serve? All right, we are live. Okay. Gentlemen, I'm here with Mack Kitchel and Weaver Ellard, two of my boys. I don't know. Do we say that anymore?
Yeah, it's great.
Am I dad joking already?
Well, what do we have between us? We have almost 9, 10 kids.
10 kids. Yeah.
10 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Look at us.
So you two are my brothers. You're also a lot smarter than me, particularly in all things branding. You laughed a little too hard. I don't appreciate that. What I wanted to talk about today is branding, and not so much branding like, hey, how do you do branding? But 2026, I think branding's changed a lot. And so maybe we could set the stage, like what is a good brand? And so just to maybe each of you give your introductions first of why you guys are so good at branding, because you guys could each be CMOs of very large companies and you choose to run an agency, which is like me, you're probably a little crazy, but Mack, why don't you give your intro about Campfire Social? Both of you have been on the cast before, so hopefully you guys check out some of the content.
Well, first of all, I need to have you follow me around and give introductions when I'm
because is that nice?
Just puff me up.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
so smart. I know everything.
I'm gonna talk to your wife too.
So we run a creative agency that primarily focuses on branded content. Historically, it was social media and all those avenues, but now, it's hilarious because 10 years ago we used the word storytelling, and storytelling became super saturated. And now I feel like there's a little bit of a return to that. And so we had a meeting yesterday. It was like, we need to talk about storytelling again. Again? We're going to go back to that.
But it's fundamental.
It really is, because what we always say is the one thing you have that's unique to you is your story.
Right.
And businesses and founders, we work with a lot of founder-led brands. That's a competitive advantage, right? When you're going against someone that's a faceless entity, they don't have a story and you have a story. So yeah, that's a lot of what we do. There's a lot more nuances that we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
What about you, Weaver?
Cool.
Talk in the mic, my brother.
All right. I'm Weaver. So I have Dodeka Digital. We're like a growth and creative focus agency. I think we focus a lot on like performance marketing, but I think where storytelling and brand comes into play is I think for great performance, like the creative is a big part of that. And what catches people's attention, what's your story? How are you convincing people to work with you? I think that's a lot more brand and creative than a lot of growth people think. And so that's our big focus, kind of like pairing those two things together really well. And
you create a lot of websites too. And imagine that's some painful branding, storytelling that goes into like, I love what you're saying you want on your website, but this is actually what matters.
Yeah. I think that's the constant tension, especially with like more founders or technical founders when we're trying to say like, hey, here's what a good story looks like, or here's how we can like boil down what your brand does into something that's really like problem focused or really your audience will care about. It's less like you just saying what you do. I think that's the natural tension. And we definitely end up with a lot of back and forth on websites because of that, of like, we don't just need to say how you would talk about your brand. We need to say it in a way that like your client actually cares about.
I love your perspective on this. So one thing that happened with performance marketing is like we went to like these web 2.0, web pages, and we like, hey, let's just optimize for conversion, or let's optimize conversion. And like brand really disappeared in some of that because like, hey, here I said nothing on my headline, click this button, CTA, give me your email, and then I'll follow you around with a nurture campaign until you finally convert into a customer. Like, that sounds
really fun.
Sounds really good for an engineer. As a marketing person, you want to throw up, right? You want to throw up. And so what, in your view, and this really happened in SaaS, and maybe it was because it was engineer led or marketers came late or performance marketers came in and kind of ruined the brand story. But are you seeing a return back to brand, particularly within your technology business?
Yeah, I think especially so. I think feel like there's been two shifts. One, before everything with AI started really happening, I feel like a lot of people were just moving to like, hey, nice website, it focuses on problems, or at least like flows and looks nice. And a lot of people recognize the need for that. I think now, and that used to be you had to work with a creative agency or some sort of agency to get that built well or have really good in-house resources. Then I think with everything going on with AI now, all the no-code builders and everyone's like, oh, I can just build my own awesome brand using one page. And now it's super saturated. So I think the floor has been raised where like what a decent website is very accessible to just about anyone. So I think now the importance or the emphasis on like what makes your website look different or feel different is a lot more around the brand. It's a lot, anyone now can have like a SaaS cool looking website. And so now does it actually flow in a way that makes sense? And does it represent yourself differently than every other website that everyone is now seeing? So I think the floor is raised, but I think the ceiling is still pretty high as far as like what people can achieve.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I think there's the ebb and flow of what people prefer, right? And like you're saying, you can give what's the one we use, Reloom, and things like where you can give it one prompt and it can build you a better website than you had 5 years ago, right? That would take $100,000 and 6 months and all. It can do that. So you got that, but at the end of the day, I feel like we're still people, right? And so it's the brand. What is branding, right? It's your reputation. It's the feeling you get. And so we're still people that are consuming this content, like the LLMs and all that, like not going away. It's going to get more aggressive, going to understand us a little bit more. But I do think the human element of it is what we can kind of intrinsically get from that stuff. And so thinking about that from a brand perspective, what are those things that make you different, that make you unique, and people can get those without actually getting those and reading, this is what makes me unique. You can feel those things in there. But the softwares, and in prep for this, I was looking up, how many apps are out there right now? The best guess is around 4.5 million, and
4.5 million AI wrapped apps.
Wow. And the tagline that really got me was, every minute 230 new ones are created.
Wow.
And so when I hear that and see that, I'm like, well, how do we compete? You can't compete with that, right? What you can compete with is specificity, I feel like, and for what we do, getting as specific with what they do and understanding that on a level that's, a one-of-one type thing, to me, that's unique, right? And that's something that people feel. So, yeah.
No, that's really good. I think this is where the podcast or this conversation has a fork, because there is the optimization of our brand using the tools. And then there is like, how is our brand represented by LLMs themselves? And so I don't know, is anybody want to take a crack at either of those? I would love to.
I want to hear what you have to say, because you, just from an SEO standpoint and like GEO and understanding what it's pulling and and I know we've said no one really knows, and it is constantly changing, but what's your thoughts on it?
Well, okay. So the Sure Oak view on this, and this is just organic, and most conversations in B2B, I don't know as much about B2C. I know you're really strong in that, but in B2B, what is happening is as people have the awareness side of the funnel, they're picking their top 4 vendors. In this world, they're picking the safest branded vendors. And so if they get that from an ad or an LLM, usually it starts with like, who's the safest bet? Because I'm not going to bet on a startup right now, because I don't know if they're going to be here in 2 years. And then where the deal is won and lost is this middle of the funnel content. And you can't advertise there. So tell me about Sure Oak. Are they credible? How do they compare against their top 3 competitors? Tell me their customer reviews, and tell me what their implementation is like and what their ROI and track record is like. I have to have content for each of those questions, or off-page citations and reviews about each of these. So I'm very worried about my Clutch, my G3 reviews, and I'm not a software company. I'm Capterra or G3, but like that's the idea for these brands, is that they have to have on-page credibility and off-page credibility. And it sounds so, I don't know, overdone, but you got to go back to EAT: expertise, experience, authority, trustworthiness. You have to amplify those signals, because we're not in the SERP world anymore. We're like, hey, Google's just going to give you the top 5 results. It's taking those top 5 results, synthesizing them, amplifying them, and then feeding them back. And either you have content about it or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then it's going to ignore you or hallucinate about you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so like, that's where I feel this is why I felt it was so imperative to get your view on this, because I think people, if you ignored branding, well, then you're not in those top 4 most trusted.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not like protecting your brand, you're not answering those middle of the funnel things. Your brand is your customer experience. It is your reviews. It is how people feel about you.
Mm-hmm.
Old SEO companies where we just optimize keywords and did schema.
Yeah.
Now we're horribly worried about brand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like there used to be the technical game. Yeah, I feel like now it's moving more to the creative. And I think like the whole concept of what you need an agency for has shifted from I need agencies to like help me be decent at technical marketing, at least on our side, like growth marketing.
Right. Yeah.
It's like it's pretty easy for someone out of college now to like hop into Google Ads, watch a couple of videos and understand decently like how to run it. And then more and more like Google Ads is holding your hands with its AI and the way that it like helps you optimize itself, Meta especially. And so I think a lot of it, the premium moves away from like technical know-how and knowledge to the positioning and differentiation and how do you stand out. And so I think on the creative side or on the performance side, helping brands understand their like competitors in the space. I think this goes to the LLM and GEO kind of concept as well, where if you look and sound like everyone else, then when ChatGPT or whoever is crawling, doesn't matter how technically sound you are, they're just going to pull the most recent of the people who are like have the established credibility unless you say something different. So I think like a good example of this, we had a client recently who is like a new AI kind of software and tried to run, like set up a simple kind of nice looking website, run ads for them, focusing on that software, and didn't get a lot of early traction because it's so saturated. Like everyone is seeing a new AI software every day. And we had to instead lean in on like their founder's background and their founder's credibility and the industry specific expertise he has and like niche down. So same concept has been around for startups forever, is like you need to niche down early and do one thing really well and say how you're different. But yeah, I think that is just like a great recent case study where it's like, hey, if we really know the person we're targeting and we really position uniquely to them, yes, we happen to have like an AI software. But what really matters is how we're differentiated, or like what our background or expertise is. And I think the more that brands can lean into that right now and like figure out what, to your point, Mark, like what really makes you different in a way that matters to your customer, that there's just too many options out there now. So like you have to be sticky, and you're only going to get that from something like unique.
Well, so you guys both do a lot of performance marketing. And one of the things I've noticed with LLMs, just the change in consumer behavior is amazing when these technologies advance, how it changes us as consumers, the way of the buying cycle. And so have you seen, like, this is my hypothesis, and I think it's playing out in the attribution we can see, because we've lost a lot. But even if I see an ad, if it's non-discretionary, if it's like a harder purchase at all, even if I see an ad, before I click on it, I just ask my LLM buddy, tell me about this brand. And then I'll click on it. So I have to go get some organic, or any brand, whatever you want to call it, but like, is this company trustworthy? Then I'll click it. And that can even be for consumer, like, hey, I have my Meta glasses on, like, hey, what am I looking at right now, Meta? Oh yeah, that's a crap ad. That's a crap company, or I don't know anything about it. Why would I click that if I'm able just to do that real time? So again, great. We're top of the funnel. We're doing PPC, but again, as marketers, like, you got to think about everything that's going to happen post click to get that deal, or everything that's not going to happen before the click. I guess that's the more. I mean, it used to be like, get the click, get that email, and we did our job as marketers.
It's funny. It feels like, I feel like you've always had to do work to gain clients.
Right.
You've always had to do work in some capacity. Yeah. That's, and what's even more hilarious is most of my team's younger, and I've been having conversations around sales, and like, I asked one of them yesterday, I was like, have you ever sold anything? Have you ever like, and I don't mean like someone hired you for something. I mean, like, you went and found a company and sold it. And he's like, oh, I don't think I have. and I think the reality is that it's always been difficult, right? It's always been tough, or it's always been a challenge. You had to work for it. But now working for it doesn't seem like working for it. Like you're saying, we had to find, like, this AI
Yeah.
the product. It's probably amazing. It probably helps a lot of people. No one cares unless they understand who the person is and why they should matter. And it's all the stuff that a lot of people don't even want to talk about, or don't, that it doesn't come naturally to them to talk about themselves or talk about their experience or talk about their, I mean, some people it does. Most people,
Yeah.
it doesn't for me. I don't love to be like, let me tell you how great I am,
Right.
which is why I need you to follow me around.
Yes, right, buddy. Yeah. Just,
And so, but it is very interesting that switch is happening, and that'll be the way it'll be for 16 months, 18 months, 24 months, and then it'll change to something else. It'll be like, what's your ethos to the world? What's your stance on, world, solving world hunger, or solving problem? I mean, it'll change, but it is really fascinating that that's where we're at right now in that quest. So.
Yeah. It's like the personal aspect. I think especially for startups, like the founder story or like relevance of the founder is really big right now. And I remember at when Nick and I used to work together, we had a startup where we saw this play out then. And I think it plays out even way more now. But we ran some ads, and they're like a cybersecurity focused company, and they were new to the space. It's a space that doesn't have a lot of trust. Then we put the founders like about us section on a landing page, and it like tripled conversion rate like almost overnight, just because people are like, oh, these are real people.
Right.
They have a background in this. They're worth talking to. And I think that was before all of this, like, rapid, everyone can build an app in a day. And I think even more now, it's like who is behind this is what everyone cares about right now.
That was partially one of the gifts of 2020 and COVID. It was like people started caring, like, who are you really behind this? Like, what you really care about and matter about? Like that. I mean, 2020 was a crazy year, but that was one. I mean, the same with you. Like, coming into what you do, like people care about. Like you're running this agency. Like who are you? What do you want to talk about? What's your experience?
I bought the agency almost 3 years ago now, and I think maybe just now we figured out who we are.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, but like those are painful, and like it's around those value conversations of like, what are our values? What is our ethos? What's our company theology around who we serve? But again, that plays into what we give our customers. And I want to go back to the point Weaver made about startups, like, and just any company who hasn't invested in brand. This is hard work. You can start doing some paid ads. You can start doing some blogging, but you got a long road to go to build some credibility. So do you have a framework, either of you, like in terms of, I looked you guys up on the internet. I know, like, here's the thing, like we run into customers all the time. You're amazing at what you do. I just wish somebody knew about it.
Yeah.
How do you amplify that?
I mean,
that's a hard thing, right?
I think a lot of it comes in like the homework with the client ahead of time. So less of like what is on the site, but more of, hey, let's break down together. Like a lot of times when we sit down to figure out like what is their story, what's their differentiation, a lot of it is they haven't thought about that, or like to your point, like a lot of people just don't want to talk about themselves. So they're like, no, we're talking about our product. Like what is awesome about our product? And it's like, no, let's like step back. Why did you build the product?
Nobody cares about your product. They care about their problem.
And most founders, they built it to solve a problem they feel. So it's like, hey, what was the problem you were looking to solve?
Right.
Why did you want to solve it? How big of a pain was it? What did you do to get here? And I think then we put it into more of like a typical story brand kind of framework, and have some of our own flavor of that, of like, what are the main problems? Who's the real buyer? I think that's a huge problem for most startups. It's like, they don't really know who their buyer is.
Or they think that it's a bunch of different people.
It's like anyone could use this.
Who are your competitors? Well, we don't really have any.
So it's really helping them break that down, and help like, hey, here's really who you're targeting, really the problem that you're solving, and here's like your unique perspective on it. And I think almost everyone has that in their brain, and it's just like helping pull that out of them and then get it on the site. I think like an About Us page is a premium that I used to think it's like kind of a throwaway, but almost every site that we have, if we look at like traffic patterns, it's probably always like the second most frequented page, or like second or third most frequented page, especially for startups, where it's like, hey, this is a cool new tool. I want to go see
Tell me about
what it's about.
Does this guy come from my industry? Is he one of us? Is he?
Like the credibility check. Because to your point, like people want to look at G2 or other softwares for reviews, but a lot of startups aren't on there. They don't have any sort of credibility there. You don't have Google reviews. So the only place I can go to understand if you're credible is your About Us page. So I think that's like becoming a lot more important to have really dialed in right now versus the past.
Yeah, and just to that point, I was looking this week. We had just our monthly review, and I was looking through the analytics for one of our clients, and the top it gives you like the top 10 pages that were hit. The two, or main one was homepage, obviously, and then founder, and then all staff.
Mhm.
So they wanted to know people
Who works in
Ooh, yeah.
and not necessarily what they do, but it was just the people of it, which
So hard to keep those updated sometimes.
yeah. Just use AI.
Just put my robots
Just
on there.
make it
Can I
up.
put my agents as the about it?
So I forget what the actual.
No, yeah. So somebody needs to amplify this story, this company they built. So like even past, I know you work maybe a little less with startups than Weaver does, but you work with a lot of like really great business owners who haven't had to tell this experience.
Yeah.
Like, I want to grow finally, or I built this thing as far as I can, but now I need to scale.
Yeah.
They need
Well, and
marketing.
I think that's the tension that we feel too with that, because we work with, like I said, mostly founder-led brands, but a lot of them are at the point where they've had like PE come in, or they've, it's a lot of franchise where there's a lot of franchise owners, and so the owner themselves is feeling this pullback,
Right.
right? Where it's like, that's the brand, like you're the brand of the entity.
You mean the pullback in what sense? Like,
They don't want to be like, their story doesn't matter. It's and I say this in a very complimentary way, right? Because they're good people that like, no, it's all my people that are doing all the work. And I fall into this a lot because like, I don't love talking about myself. And it's even challenging hearing this because like, I don't have an about me on my website about me,
no, please don't look at our website.
we're a decade in business. And I'm like, but what's the thing that I can do to help the business the most? That, right? And so that's a little bit of the tension that we're, I'm just thinking of one client where it's, every time it's like, well, I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, they don't care. It doesn't care unless we can talk about you. You've been in this business for 42 years. You created it with your family. Let's tell that story. And then let's show the beautiful work that you're doing along the way, which seems really easy for me. It's a no-brainer, but it is a constant reminder. It's a constant, you're convincing these people to do it, which I think is why, it's great, right? It's why we have a job, right?
Mhm.
We get to sit in that place.
Yeah, the weird thing about AI and having these really intimate sales and marketing conversations, which I call the robot buddy next door. I mean, he's smarter than Einstein and Newton and Da Vinci combined, and he also has access to all your data and all your previous chats, and is going to recommend something with very, very high intent to you. And so I'm having these conversations with it. In the aperture on how it's trained is broad, and it really is looking for the most human validated content, which is crazy, right? Because the way Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, the way they make money is to make sure that these LLMs emulate human thinking as much as possible. So the brand matters again on this point, and the aperture of what it's trained on, it includes now social. And so I want to go that direction a little bit on this. One thing that we recommend, and we're not good at supporting this because we are more of an organic agency, but we highly encourage clients is if you can get 2 or 3 or just one, please, just one customer champion to be an influencer to pour back into this community, that would help you so much. Just having an author on your blog and a link to their bio and what they've written about and their track record within this goes such a long way to that human authority piece that the LLMs appreciate. What's you guys' take on social?
I think it's really important. I think like with everything with LLMs, like we talked about earlier, is kind of a black box in my opinion, as far as like how much of an impact social has on LLM traffic. But I do think, especially right now with a lot of going down this whole theme, we talk about like branding and tying it to the person. A lot of people on the B2B side, I'm seeing a lot more traffic like from LinkedIn, or people are like looking up your company on LinkedIn.
Sure.
Are you legit? And they come over, and then on LinkedIn, inevitably, if you're not posting there, or you have like, it shows you have one employee or things like that. Like I think that's a kind of main channel people are using to suss out the legitimacy of AI companies. So if you don't have a lot of followers or you don't have many posts, and I don't think most people really care what the posts are about, it's just like, are you posting are you an active company? Do you have real people?
Mm.
I think that's becoming important. And there's some, I haven't like done a full analysis on this, but there's definitely like a correlation we're seeing in LLM traffic to someone's site versus social traffic. So like when social traffic's high, LLM traffic's high, or when they're posting more frequently, we start to see more posts or more traffic come from LLMs.
Right.
I think just like frequency in general seems to be something LLMs are biasing towards. You probably know more than me, but having like blog posts, having social posts, just putting out content to show that like you're active as a brand.
Yeah.
And if that's getting engaged with. So yeah, I think more so, less so on like the branding side and more so just on like the tactical side of you need to be active on social for people to know that you're a legitimate company, at least LinkedIn. I think Meta and Instagram and other stuff kind of depends on the vertical you're in.
Yeah. It depends where your market is.
Yeah. But I think it's becoming much more important. And I think it's similar to everything, like ebbs and flows. But I think 2020 or 2019, like social was huge and everyone was like hiring social agencies. I think it kind of fell out of favor when AI came around, performance marketing, like SEO really took off, or it's always been big, but took off bigger. And now I think there's like this trend back to, again, with the floor raising, like anyone can have a decent website, anyone can have decent SEO. Now it's like, do I want to get really good at SEO? How do I like differentiate better? And I think so.
I wish SEO, I mean, it's still only 9% of total marketing spend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's underinvested. Yeah. It's always has been. I mean, because, give me leads now.
Patience. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me leads now through paid versus let me earn authority over 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it.
Takes patience.
You got to up those percentages, man.
You got those are rookie numbers, man. You got to up those numbers up.
Sell better, dude. Get out there. Have you sold anything before in your life?
I've sold a couple things.
No, what you said is 100% accurate. So we started in 2015, really launched in 2016, and from that to it was technically not like 2020 that was the breaking point. It was like probably 22, because when 2020 happened, everybody went towards social because you couldn't do anything, and so we actually grew because historically we were social media, social branding. But then in 22, it was, what's the stat? So 80% of all college degrees were marketing degrees. And like 60% of the marketing degrees, the specialization was social media.
Really?
Yeah.
So you have this huge influx of like people coming in the world that have a degree in social media. I don't have a degree, period. We were joking about this the other day. I was like, I have to have a master's in social media because I've done it for 10 years, but like, I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
But I have run a business. But so we felt that pullback of like, it was super saturated. There was a lot of people going in that space. The content kind of just went to like, well, we'll do this content calendar and create all these things that like looked just like everybody else, said the same thing, wasn't. And then probably the middle of last year to the end of last year, I've totally felt a shift of that, and going into this year the exact same way. But it's not like, hey, we want to be active on social. It's we want to help our brand tell a better story of what we're doing as a whole. And it might be on social. LinkedIn is like, we've done way more LinkedIn content now. It's an incredible space. If you're not using LinkedIn, you absolutely should. And yeah, it doesn't really matter necessarily what you're talking about, as long as you're talking. I would say be completely honest and be open and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because that's human. That's the no one wants to know. Don't put up, I'm so happy to be at this event with all these people and show a picture of like
nobody cares.
Like, no one cares.
Yeah.
That is like, I'm so honored to be a part of, like, that's been said 100 times. So don't say that. Tell us something real. But yeah, we've definitely felt that. And it does stretch outside of social media in the sense of, is it web? Is it partners? Is it, authors? What are those areas outside of that? Even to the sense now where it's print media is coming back, like print advertising or just in-person advertising. And again, this is the ebb and flow of how marketing works. We were talking about Switchyards earlier. Switchyards, an incredible company.
Co-working space. We have an international audience back.
Oh, sorry.
You should got to explain some of it.
You don't know about Switchyards. It's a co-working space. There's like, it's all over the Southeast, but they started printing a monthly calendar or a newsletter. Yeah. And it's awesome. Like, it's for some people, it's not for others, but trying those pieces of media that just take you a little bit out of what everybody else is doing and make you look a little bit different and allow people to participate in that. So
I think that's really good. The getting people to participate, even the Seth Godin book Tribes. Yeah, it's just that general idea is that you have a community you're trying to serve, and you're actually someone who's participating, not consuming from them, right? Or taking from them. You're actually giving. That's your brand, right? I mean, that's got to be pretty important. The one part I guess I want to maybe challenge you on, Mac, was like post anything, like, be vulnerable. Do you think that's valuable to the LLM? Is it going to bypass that, or is it going to? Because like, okay, so like, let me just, as I'm pushing back and I hear that, I react a little bit from an SEO perspective. Like, if it doesn't help my organic, then why would I do that? It's going to bypass me and my kids.
What helps organic though? Like intentional conversations, right? So
yes,
likes, shares, comments, like engagement, right? There's this saying like comments are the new source of engagement.
Yeah.
It's a new beta testing, right? Like you'll see some like Wendy's, their social's great. McDonald's social's great. Taco Bell, Chipotle's got a great social. Some of the comments will have like 80,000 likes or response. And so I think what I'm saying when I say be vulnerable is like, say something that's different. We did.
That's good.
We have a client, they do a lot of therapy and all that. And they had a.
Can I get their number?
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
We were pulling quotes of like, we're going to do this little, just, like the little clips you put on the podcast. And I was like, pull everything with words that make you like listen. So it's like pornography. Oh, did you see so much porn?
Yeah.
Like when you hear the word pornography, you stop and you're like, oh, well, what is that? And I want to listen to that. I want to hear what someone's talking about that. And so I think don't just say anything to say anything, but say things that like you really care about, you really matters, or just stuff that you're thinking. Like I think the days of super polished and, that's why all these big news agencies and all that are, they're getting taken over by YouTube because people are just saying what they're thinking in their head. They're saying that stuff and they're getting it out there. So that's what don't just say anything, but say, what's your conviction? What's on your heart? What's real?
Oh no, I'm not, dude. You can
stop pushing back on me.
I like your post.
I'm going to say some things.
Well, you just did. You said pornography. I think my podcast just got banned from YouTube. Weaver, you were nodding your head at that. Do you have a view on like what content?
What are your thoughts on pornography?
No, that's not what.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the branding side. So I think something that we used to really try to measure, and like one of my first roles at NCR was like customer sentiment. And I remember kind of like rolling my eyes. A lot of the C-suite kind of roll their eyes of like, I don't care about that, or show me leads. And I think there was like, better ways to measure that than others. But I think there was a time where there was a lot less saturation in the market. So if you were just getting in front of people and getting them to your site and then they would convert. Now I think with all the saturation we're talking about, what really matters is how you make people feel, which I think that matters like as a human, but now especially as a brand, is like people are going to remember your brand because of how it made them feel. So to Mack's point, if you can get some sort of emotional reaction by being honest, or like, hey, we really care about this, we have a stance on this and it's different than everything else you're reading. I think that matters a ton. So I think it maybe has less impact from my perspective on LLM traffic, but probably a good impact on conversion rate. And it's like, hey, we have less people getting to the site because LLMs maybe didn't favor this content, but the people who do get there remember us and they're going to convert, like because they felt some sort of positive sentiment towards us. So I think this whole idea of like sentiment tracking, you mentioned attribution earlier, and I think that is like a much harder game now, because I think, like I mentioned, like if people are coming from LLMs, it's probably because they've heard of you somewhere. Maybe they searched and you ranked well in an LLM.
Yeah, most likely what First Touch was. Yeah. A lot of times, it's especially for our brands who are more like new startups. If they're showing up in LLM, it's probably because someone's like researching them in the LLM. And so when they're coming, like, we don't know what led them to see us in the first place to search for us in the LLM. But there is often, again, a correlation in like when we're putting out decent social content, or putting out things that people are probably consuming, and then they go research us in the LLM and then they come. So I do think, and there's a huge correlation we see in like LLM traffic versus conversion rate. Like if someone comes from an LLM, the only reason they're coming to your 100%. Site from there is because they've already researched you. They already know most of what they want to know. They're probably coming to take some sort of action, or maybe dig a little deeper. But yeah, if we can get traffic from there, it's like triple the conversion rate of, organic traffic, because they're not window shopping at that point. They already have their info. That's so good. I want to go back to that comment on, and this will get into the idea of AI slop, which everyone's talking about. But to your point, if it's on social and you're saying something different, that's what the LLM is going to pick that up, particularly if it's related to the conversation that they're having. If it's derivative, LLM already knows it, and it's not going to give any citation.
Yeah.
That's why I think some of the HubSpot stuff, we started to see their traffic go down or their mentions go down. They pivoted, but they were talking about a lot of general sales and marketing stuff we already knew, and the LLM already knew. So why should HubSpot get credit for it? I'm actually going to give credit to Gartner where it actually originated. Right. And so we're doing this AI slop where it's like, hey, just write me a piece of content, AI, and I don't put my unique perspective on it. Why would AI cite you? Why wouldn't, unless you do that? And so I think the same thing happens in social, on our blogs, on our website. Like, what is your point of view? What is your point of view on this conversation your customer is having? Because they're comparing you now. It's so easy. I don't have to call 5 salespeople. I just have to ask ChatGPT, compare the 5 companies I'm considering. What's so great about you? So you got to have that conversation. Anyway, so are you seeing a lot more slop and having to differentiate in this world?
I love the term AI slop.
Yeah, I didn't coin it. So
it's great. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's,
you can smell it too when you see it, right? It has a stench.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'll tout y'all guys. I think y'all guys are way smarter than me.
No, you use the wrong. Okay. This is a big deal for me. So the plural of y'all is all y'all.
All y'all?
All y'all.
That sounds super.
That's plural. Yeah. That's the plural.
All y'all.
Okay, so anyway, but all y'all have guys.
Y'all's guys. Big fan of Nick.
I just need you to say
not the smartest man in the room, so no, I think y'all's your knowledge when it comes to the depths of, I feel like most people don't know they can even do that. I would guess. Most people don't know that I ask people sometimes, like, how are you using ChatGPT? How are you using, what are you doing for these things? And the elementariness of it is actually really interesting. I'm like, do you know it can do like so much more?
Yes.
All that.
Yes.
Like, and so maybe people know that. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know. And so I still would go back to, this is why I feel like we're in a short microcosm season of like where like the uniqueness of your brand actually really does matter. I hope it stays that way for a while. Like I hope we still see that. But we might not. But I mean, my gut will always go to do we want AI to do everything for us? Do we want it to say, hey, give me the 5 people, pin them against each other, figure all that out? Or do we at some point want to make decisions ourselves, right? I love old school Defenders. I would love to have like a 90 like TDI 300 Defender and drive at 40 miles an hour and smell the diesel and like shift. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want AI to do it all for me.
Right.
I don't want like, Tesla's great. I've ridden a bunch of them, driven a bunch of them. I like driving a car.
Yeah.
Like, I just like it, right?
Yeah.
So there's some components of that will be the same when we get to the evaluation. I mean, it can do so many great things for you, but at some point, it's like I enjoy doing that. I enjoy the process of creating, right? I enjoy that process, and so can it get me halfway and then I can complete it? Yeah. But I don't know if I want it doing every single thing for me along the way, and I don't know if that's how all people use it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think to play off of that, like I feel like in business, it's always been like, how can you stand out? That is what separates your business, right? So this concept of like, you need to differentiate. This isn't new, but I think for the past 20 years, it's been like distribution and technical prowess are like the ways that you can stand out, like just by getting your content out there, by being better at marketing than other people, by having bigger budgets, whatever. But if you're decent at technical piece and you just get the content out there, you're going to win a lot of the time. I think now the premium is like creativity and empathy. And it's like, it's back on that where now that, again, like we talked about, now that anyone can put any content out there, it is how different can your content be?
Right.
Or how like creative can it be? So if it's like, because everything is derivative, because AI is pulling everything from other content that's already out there, it's like true creativity is once again at a premium. I think that's cool because I think that was like also went out of favor for a while. So I think the creativity and then the empathy of like, can you really try to understand your customer and what they care about? And to your point, a lot of people aren't using ChatGPT the way we are. I think it's really easy to get in this mindset of like, in general in life, but especially in marketing, of like everyone is using the tools that I'm using. People are like used to it.
Everybody knows what I know. They're doing the exact same
like
thing.
the
like you mentioned Claude.
Yeah.
You mentioned Claudebot, but like
Yeah.
a lot of the even like technical entrepreneurs I work with have not heard of it at all. So
Yeah.
it's like kind of like, because there's so much content putting out, like echo chambers are becoming more real. Like my X feed is like all about Claudebot right now.
Yeah.
Because like that's what I've seen.
Yeah.
But some people have not even heard of it.
Also known as OpenClaw.
OpenClaw,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's also again around like, can I really try to like understand my customer and what is actually going on in their world so that my content speaks to them and doesn't speak to me. But yeah, so I think like that creativity and empathy piece has always been like what marketing is,
Yeah.
but I think is just at like a huge premium now.
Yeah, that's so important because this is the weird thing that's happening with a lot of clients. You have the rate of this is from our last podcast. So Michael Sangbush, he's a chief product officer. He was talking me through this. He says the rate of AI advancement and innovation is going exponential.
Yeah.
The rate of adoption is going linear, very slow. So you have this disconnect. Oh, and the boards and the C-suite, their demand for AI is also going exponential. Like they see everyone doing everything they're not doing and freaking out.
Yeah.
And it's causing this disconnect because the skill, the uptake at the line level, and this is so true for so many clients I see, we don't have teams that are used to using this technology, and nor can they possibly, because they can't keep up.
Right. Yep.
Because it changes so much. But meanwhile, you have this weird disconnect between leadership and the line of it's causing some morale issues with some, especially the larger clients. Do you guys have advice for getting better at using the tools, playing with the tools, getting your teams like more comfortable? I have that even issue with InsureOak. Is like, I'm like, oh, did you guys hear about OpenClaw? Is like everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I'm always thinking about new content and the podcast and things we can talk about. But they're like, I'm trying to get through my day, Nick.
Right. Yeah.
You've overloaded me with so many clients and work. I really want to make sure that the client's getting served. I don't have time to like make a phase shift and implement a new experimental. Any advice in getting upskilling going?
I feel like with a lot of this conversation, it kind of comes to focus. So for us, what we've done in that case is we, rather than like all trying to keep up with all the latest tools and everything else going on, we have 2 guys or now 3 guys on the team whose main focus is like innovation. We'll call it like the innovation team.
3 people. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's a main focus. One of them is like their core focus. The other 2 are what we're the nerds, is like what we label our group. So they just like enjoy it, and we set aside a portion of their time for it. But their main job is to at least twice a month sit down with other members of the team and ask them like what are the biggest problems that they're facing right now, and just really understand like what's the most annoying thing you do in your day. Like what is the thing that takes the most time, or things that like you feel like maybe AI could help with.
That's really good.
You don't know enough about. And then we like rank those, prioritize those, and then go look if there's any tools that will like really help address those. So rather than trying to be familiar with every tool, we're trying to be familiar with the problems, be aware of tooling so that we can like make that pair together. And that's been really effective for us. Like I think if we look at much more effective than our initial approach, which was just like go try every new tool,
yes,
get distracted, make no real progress. Like I've heard these funny memes about Claude or Claudebot where people are like, it's the coolest thing, like you have to get on it. And it's like, cool, what are you doing with it? It's like, no, but it'll like change your life. It's the best thing in the world. We're like, what are you really using it for? No, it's awesome. It's like everyone I know who's really using a lot of these tools is not making real like business impact with them.
AI hasn't added to GDP yet.
Really? That's kind of insane.
It'll happen, but not yet.
Yeah. So anyway, I just think like starting with the problem that you're trying to solve, and then doing a little bit of research now and then on like the latest AI tool and how it could potentially solve it.
That's interesting.
But I think people are just getting so caught up in like feature function and not like practical application.
There's a level of patience there and not knee jerking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really smart.
I would love to see the amount of time that's wasted on potential AI.
It's most of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, we're in a short season of that, right? Where people are really trying to figure out what works for them. But in a sea of 5 million different things that could work for you, what do you use? I believe niche is going to be even more important. Even it's not like, oh, this app's great for agencies. It's like, no, like the specificity of exactly what do you do and having an app for that. To get back to your question of like, what in these larger companies where, I mean, just yesterday I heard very large brand here in Atlanta, laid off about 70,000 people, and cut the whole team.
Wow.
It brought AI in. This is like a lot of senior folks and obviously, newer entry level. I think it's going to happen. I think that's going to happen. But I think that what I would advise and what we talk about is we're all in some way fear-based creatures, right? We're like, from the very early days, like we're going to get eaten by a lion, you're trying to. So I think there's that in you as well. And a lot of what I do is, I'm not in the nuts and bolts, the technical side of every single thing we do. I try to stay out of that, mainly because I can't consume it all, and I don't understand it all, and I don't have time. I got 4 little kids. I got a wife. I got a business. I got friends. We're in a small group. There's so much going on. So like, what can I do? And so I think talking with leaders mainly and founders and owners, as much as possible, remove the fear, right? Remove the fear and open up a dialogue around like what you said. How do we get better? Like you have people on your team that like, they're going to ask questions of like, how do we get better every month? Not how can we lose your job and get rid of you and replace you, but like, how can we get better and do more? And I think that's the pure gift of AI. It's like, yes, it will displace people, right? That's going to, but if you're able to adopt it and use it the right way, you can further what you're doing in so many ways. And so we are on the front edge of that, of really trying to understand how we can do it. And what are the things that we can limit and remove. And we've found some pretty cool tools that have been helpful for us, but they're probably not helpful.
No, that's such a good point. I love that you actually detach yourself a little bit, because I think there are first principles of marketing, whether it's brand, saying something new. It's like, does it fit that framework? And if it doesn't, then I have to say no, and I have to move on. I mean, operational efficiencies, that may be somebody else's why in that organization, but I think that's really good, Mac. So we've done, I don't know how long, but close to an hour. It's been pretty good. What, any party shots, any fun things to talk about before we head up? Was any, what do you call it? Like any pitches for Dodeca or Campfire Social? So tell me exactly your niche. You talked about niche. What is your niche? What is your why at Campfire Social?
So we refined it last year. So historically we were all social media, and then we talked about how that guy got curved, so to speak, and then expanded. It got we had to figure out who are we and what are we best at. We landed on the creative side. We landed on like branded content, and I wouldn't call us a pure performance marketing agency. Like you refer to yours as performance marketing. I would say we're more of a holistic marketing, if you can say that, where I'm not the young 20-year-old anymore. Seasoned veteran.
Just looks like it.
I've run 2 agencies. I've got a lot of gray. I'm glad I shaved this morning.
Good for you.
So I've been doing a little bit more fractional CMO work, where I'm working with decision makers in the company to figure out where are the areas our brand touches people, and let's work on that versus we're just going to make content, let you go. It all does for us come back to content, but I think we've been able to do that, and we've been able to touch a lot of different areas. Even stuff that I'm like, oh, we're doing that, but it works. That works, and so we're going to do those things. And so for us, that was not an elevator.
No, it was not. But it was beautiful, though.
It's a little bit of a story of like where we came from, where we're at now. But I think that's how we add value the most: working alongside someone, taking a lot off their plate, and helping them see, all the areas where their brand does touch, and then creating content for those specific pieces that speaks to who they are.
We're going to put that on your website. That's going to be really good. That is awesome. But there's something beautiful in that. There's 2 things. One is like who you are, but you talked earlier about the humanity of like, they might find you on an LLM, but at the end of the day, people want to work with people they trust. And I need someone I can talk to that's not a robot to actually, walk me through this area of disruption.
In B2B, B2C, you're still talking to a person, right? And there's nuance.
You're interacting with the brand at least.
So
build with people. So your people are your brand. So
I think so to maybe kind of to complementary to the way that Mac operates, I think we kind of plug in a lot of times where we're B2B tech, B2B service businesses, where they already have some form of product market fit, And usually it's through sales, or usually it's like they're kind of dabbling in marketing, but don't have a good way to like tie it back to revenue or to know if it's scalable as a growth engine for them. So we do a little bit of kind of fractional CMO work, or sometimes they'll have a CMO and we plug in as like fractional marketing team, fractional growth team, because I think a lot of the skills necessary, especially with like all this current saturation and new tooling and everything else, the skills necessary to do really good advertising or like really drive revenue and stand out from other folks requires a pretty senior team, or it requires like a pretty specially skilled team. And so a lot of companies we work with, that's not something they can invest into. They don't know if they should invest in that yet because they haven't seen a lot of growth from marketing yet. So that's what we really like to plug in, is like, hey, we'll make sure your foundation's good and like your site looks good and all your graphics and like brand looks good. And then we'll make sure you know how to measure what good looks like for marketing, and then we'll go help you try to drive like scalable demand. So I think like demand engine is kind of like our term that we try to help them set up. But yeah, so a lot more of like, once we have a strategy, or we can help build a little bit of a strategy, and then we go help execute and measure.
I love it. I mean, Weaver is truly a full stack marketer. I mean, on the technical side, and actually can do the branding and stuff. So you guys are great. One thing we didn't even talk about, I had this list of questions I never looked at. But like you guys explained it in your business really well. What you do is the B to D framework, the brand to demand. And like, how does your brand make you money? And like, it is harder to measure now, maybe in attribution views, but like, if you're investing those dollars right, and you're investing in your authority, and you're investing in what makes you special, it's going to lead to revenue. I think that's the way to part with it. The B to D.
Yeah, B to D.
B to D, baby. B to D. B to B, B to C, but we are B to D.
You heard it here first.
Round the Shiro Place.
That's differentiated.
All right, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us, Nick.